Okay, so this week so far, you guys have read Emrys and Prior. You've posted a discussion board post of 250 words. By midnight tonight, you'll need to go back and respond to two of your peers on the discussion board. I really want to encourage you guys again, if you haven't posted, you need to go post because if you miss a certain number of posts, that counts as like an absence, as a lack of participation, and that builds up, and eventually I have to ask you about whether or not you want to drop the class. Okay, and eventually I actually just have to drop you from the class if you miss enough of it. So make sure you're doing the discussion board. It also really does add up um, over time to like influence your grade and can make the difference between like as much as like an A and a C sometimes, right? So please do keep an eye on the discussion board, do the stuff, and if you're having trouble with it, let me know. Wednesday, you should have watched What is the Uncanny? It's a little bit awkward here and there, but like just watch it, keep it in mind as we move forward. And if you're interested in the Uncanny in particular, let me know and I can send you some more articles or some other stuff about that subject because we're going to be talking about it quite a lot. And then today, right, you will go back and respond to two classmates and finish reading Frankenstein, right? It's about, I think it's like 77 pages or something. Um, okay, and I know that you won't actually have to post about that until Wednesday, but by Wednesday you will have to have be like almost done reading the next section of Frankenstein. So don't put it off, okay? We have Labor Day on Monday, so there's no assignments. But what that means is like everything's going to get crammed into Wednesday and Friday. Wednesday, you'll also be reading this PDF, which is Spare and Found Parts, and kind of I'm going to be asking you guys to think about the moment of creation and the relationship between the creation and its creator, right? I want to draw your attention to in my version, it's page 45, where he finally where Frankenstein finally like brings the monster to life, right? And in that second paragraph, he kind of really comes to terms with the um, with the uncanny in a sense, and with the fact that he has gone out and picked all the most perfect pieces, right, for his monster, and the end product though is not what he anticipated, and is like a human but not human, and kind of he experiences this kind of overwhelming horror in the face of his creation come to life. So I want you guys to think about that section, um, especially in terms of the uncanny and in terms of what we're supposed to do with this narrative, or what we're supposed to make of this moment where a human being has, defied the laws of science and nature in a sense to create life, and then is horrified by the products of that. Like, and there's no right answer to this, right? But I want you guys to think about it and to comment on it if you want. So, um, that is where we're at with that. I think some of the other really interesting themes here, obviously, are like madness, um, his kind of like tendency to become completely obsessed and overwhelmed by his project and to lose sight of other things that matter to him, the way that his ambition pushes out his ability to interact reasonably with like other human beings and to enjoy the things that he has previously enjoyed. Um, and what you'll see also here, to kind of move a little bit backward toward the beginning of the book, is this tendency in this time period of writing to write books in the form of letters, or at least presenting them as letters. And that's a really interesting form that you don't see a whole lot of now. Like sometimes there will be a letter of some sort included in part of a book, but what you'll see is books framed in the beginning and often the ending. And I mean, there are entire novels from this time period written as like a sequence of letters and letter exchanges. Um, it's called epistolary format. But I think that there is something to be said about that, and especially in terms of like how were people getting information during this time period? How were stories being told? And stories were either told right face to face or in letters, right? And so when Shelley kind of presents this story as a letter, what you're really seeing is an attempt to like insert this story into the realm of reality in a sense and be like, oh, you know, like how would this story be told if it was a true story? And it would be told through a letter, right? So that's kind of one of the interesting things that you're seeing. There's also the element of the story being told a little bit backwards in a way, like because of this letter format, what we're told and what we see here is the end, almost the very end, you know, of the story of Frankenstein and his creation, where Frankenstein is out, you know, hunting the monster, according to him anyway, and they've been driven to some of the most extreme climates on Earth in this kind of like bizarre relationship that they have, and he's going back and like telling the story thus far. So keep that in mind. Um, if there are other like if there are other bits of the story that you guys want to write about in your um, discussion post, you're welcome to do so, right? Like, definitely do touch on whatever it is the prompt is, right? Like, if the prompt is, so for week 3, um, my prompt that I have here um, is what similarities and differences do you see in the accounts of creation of a human-like being, right? So you would be comparing this to the reading by Griffin, the Lost and Spare and Found Parts. Um, right. Answer that to whatever extent you want to, but if there's other things you want to talk about in the book, like feel free to do so. If you're fascinated by the story of Elizabeth or you know, you think Frankenstein is a huge jerk and he's being presented, you know, too reasonably, whatever you want to do, write about that as well, okay? Just touch on the prompt as briefly as you want, and then you can move into writing about something that you're really excited about if there's bits and pieces of the story that you're excited about. Okay, so that is it for now. Again, if you have problems or issues, just email me or message me on Remind.